My name is Julian Medrano, and
My name is Lydia Zapata.
I come from the University of Texas, and I'm doing a project. Me and my group are doing a project in our mass incarceration class over the issue of East Austin. And our hypothesis is that the change in resources in East Austin is affecting crime rates. One example would be gentrification. Higher income families buying homes in East Austin, and many are doing that, and it's changing over time. I'm sure you can tell. And what we actually found out is that the change in East Austin isn't affecting the crime rate. They are moving other places, probably outside of the city or in other areas. So what you have told me is that you're actually here before I-35 was built. As you know, I-35 is the line in between East Austin and West Austin. That's what everyone sees it as. Can you tell me what it was like before I-35?
Before I-35 was built, in those days life was very simple. Hard though for my parents, who struggled to make ends meet. We rented homes at that time because that's all they could afford to do. That's the only opportunity that they had at the time to provide for us. I think later one of my father's best friends offered to sell him a home in Montopolis, and at that time period we transcended to East Side, to East Austin. Life was difficult. Choices were made by a couple of my brothers and many of my cousins at that time to get involved in drugs, which really presented huge embarrassment and lots of pain to my family. It also taught us what happens to a person when they choose to do wrong, and they all wind up going to prison at one time or another. After they got out, I think their lives changed. They changed for the better, and which also showed me that a person can make a change for their life only by what they choose to do with it.
Okay, so can you tell me the transition, because I believe you used to live in the downtown area, correct?
That is correct.
Can you tell me what was happening transition as y'all were being kind of pushed out, maybe?
Yes, we were forced to move out of one rent house, and we wound up moving into another rent house on the other side when they started to build I-35. It was right behind the police department now, where the police department is. They came in and selected it was called at that time the East Avenue, and they turned out to be the frontage roads of I-35, where they dug through. At that time period, after they built I-35, many small businesses, minority businesses, started popping up around the East 7th Street and I-35 corridor. And not that they didn't have them already, but it was a beginning of awareness for myself as a teenager, aware of the businesses were there.
Okay, so as we found out that most people who are incarcerated are due to people who are doing drugs, and it turns out that a lot of people in East Austin are being targeted, and certain areas being targeted for possession of drugs. I know since you were kind of living in that downtown area, you were in probably higher end schools, for one, Austin High School.
That is correct. I attended up until my junior year at Austin High School, where it was predominantly all white. Very few, maybe 5% were minorities. And the classes that were taught there were there to prepare you for college. And the transition in moving to Montopolis, I had to switch high schools to Johnston High School which is the east side. And in that particular school, I found myself, my opportunities there were primarily geared for labor force, from everything from auto mechanics to printing to learning how to be a beautician to working in hotels in the kitchen area. That type of work was the opportunities that they were providing for majority of the minorities, and that was it. Not much college environment was being provided.
So I guess as I'm hearing, y'all go to high school in East Austin due to gearing towards these labor kind of jobs, these blue collar jobs maybe.
Yes.
And so what happens if you don't get that? Do y'all go to college, or is there any opportunity for college at all?
There was no community college until 1973. And then with that, you still had to have a way of getting to the college. You had to have the money to pay for the college. Many students were working already part-time jobs after school just to help provide money to survive for their families. And so many students, with the introduction of drugs in the neighborhoods, killed every opportunity that they had if they got involved in drugs. And once you get into drugs, it's like a cycle. There's many things that affect that choice that people make. It could be from no parents because their parents are in jail, that they don't have anyone to help them make those right choices for them or be there for them to make the right choices. So they fall into the cracks, as they say, and they have no way out. And so it's a cycle for them. If the family was involved in prison, it's almost like it's inevitable for them to be involved into drugs and doing the wrong thing, stealing or whatever, just to supply the money for the drugs. So it's not an easy thing to get out of. It's a choice that people make.
There's actually statistics that show that families who have people incarcerated are more likely to be going to prison themselves. Can you tell me at least a little bit of how you feel about the prison industrial complex, as you say, the system itself? And can you lead on to tell me the decisions you've made to leave from that and what you left behind to help your own family?
Well, most definitely, minorities have always been targeted in one form or another. If you don't have money to afford the best attorney, it's easy to be put into prison. You have no one that's helping you even if you were not guilty, you were sent to prison. Many people that's happened to, many men and young men. The choice that I had was to leave East Side. Primarily, I made that choice very young, at a very young age, when I saw the crime, the poverty, the education that was being provided. I knew that I had to try I was determined to provide a much better opportunity for my children. And I chose to leave that and to move south instead, to South Austin, and found that the school system there was better for my children. The area was not as drug infested as the East Side was. And I tried to teach my children hard work ethics, to try to teach them the moral values and character that my parents taught me. And it was not an easy thing. It was difficult, but I feel in my heart that I succeeded.
All right. I want to thank you a bunch for your time and for doing this interview. I know it takes a lot to talk about this. This is a very touchy subject, especially for people who come from East Austin.
Yes. And also, I do want to say that it's really helps helps me remember. It helps me to remember the old times, the good times, and it helps me also to realize the hard work pays off. For opportunities are always there. Opportunities are always before you, but we must choose to succeed and go after them. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you.